Hi, and welcome to the Tech Connect Resume Workshop. My name is Stephen Ford, and I'm the Digital Access Coordinator at the Hillsborough Education Foundation. Today, I'd like to give you a little bit of information about resumes. So what is a resume? A resume is a carefully written, concise summary, 1 to 2 pages, containing relevant information on your education, your experience, skills, qualifications, and knowledge areas. So what is the main purpose of the resume? It's to summarize your relevant and your transferable skills and experiences to the hiring personnel. The other main purpose of the resume is to help you obtain the interview. We want to make sure that resume stands out so you're able to put yourself in a better light and separate you from other candidates that are applying for that same position. This also helps the hiring personnel determine if you're the most qualified and the best person for that position. One of the biggest things I can tell you about a resume is just make sure you're honest. There's a lot of times that people put false information on their resumes and it could come back to haunt you in the future. Also, the other thing that a resume allows you to do once you get that interview is it helps set a structure for the personnel who are interviewing you and lays out a guideline for them to kind of follow, kind of format some of their questions in order to make sure that they understand who you are and what your working background is. So some of the key categories that are pretty important in your resume is to make sure that you have your identifying information at the very top of the resume. Your technical or any type of computer skills probably need to be highlighted at the very top of that resume as well. Your objective or personal summary is important at the very top. And then any type of experience that you had, your education, or what qualifies you for the position that you're applying for. Some of the optional information to include would be your volunteer experience, some relevant projects that you may have worked on, some leadership experience, language skills, and any type of honors or rewards that you may have received. One of the key components is the language skills, because this can separate you from other candidates within the candidate pool. If you are bilingual or speak other languages, this allows you to stand out from those other resumes as well when trying to be selected for that interview. Couple of things to think about on your heading. At the very top of your resume is the personal statement. A lot of companies nowadays are kind of shying away from an objective where they like to see a little bit more information about your personal, what you've done or things that you can do. Here are a couple examples that you can look at. 1, licensed installer with skills and experience running cable through conduit, terminating cables such as coaxial, Cat5, optical fiber, and other cable types. And another sample, committed and hardworking, newly graduated LPN with 1 year of experience in customer service assisting customers, dedicated to resolving issues, creative problem solver, capable of helping customers with various needs and getting support from managers for complex issues. The nice things about a personal statement, it gives a little bit more information about you, what you're about, some of the skills that you can bring to the table for that organization, and also gives a little bit better understanding to the personnel that are going through those resumes, who they could be potentially be interviewing. Also experience, what can be considered as experience? This is a key component in your resume. So you want to make sure that you highlight this with your part-time work, any type of full-time work that you've had. If you've recently graduated college, high school, you may want to use it for like your student clubs or organizations that you're involved with. Have you done an internship? Have you done any volunteer work or any type of contract or freelance work? One of the most important things to remember and consider is make sure that you put information in there in reverse chronological order. So the most recent position that you've held would need to go first, and then your other employment or experience opportunities that you've had would follow after that. Your work should not exceed more than 10 years of experience, unless there's a good explanation or reason that you want to include that work. And if it applies to the job that you're applying for, you want to make sure that you have that information in your resume. Some bullet points and rules. So a lot of times that we've seen in the past, when you put your information on experience, a lot of people will actually write out paragraphs, makes it difficult to read. They're looking for some clear and concise information about what did you do in the past. 3 to 5 bullet points is sufficient enough for that individual to be able to determine what kind of activities that you held there. Make sure the bullet points begin with an action verb. Use present tense for present jobs. So if you're currently employed and you're applying for a new position, make sure you do that. And then past tense for any type of past jobs that you've held. You want to make sure that you try to explain the duties and the tasks that you performed at that job. And try to keep them relevant to the job that you're applying for. I think this is very important so that you can tailor your resume to that job that you're applying for. So making sure that you read the job description thoroughly to the job that you're applying for, and then create that resume to fit that job description. I think that lets you stand out from the other candidates in the candidate pool that are applying for that job as well. Also, the use of action verbs that are in the job description to catch the attention of the reader. So utilizing that job description that they've provided to you and any types of action verbs that you can weave into your resume and into your bullet points for the positions that you've held in the past, I think is very important when you create that resume. Also trying to stay away from the I, the me, and the my. I think that's pretty important. And also any type of accomplishments or achievements or things that you've gone above and beyond might be important to make sure you include. Maybe in the bottom portion of your resume under awards or honors that you may have. I think those are different types of things that you can include to make your resume stand out. Here's a nice example of actual experience for someone. As you can see at the very top left-hand side there, they use their title, the audio technician intern. Where was the company that they worked at, which would be the Palladium, the city and the state. And then on the right-hand side, they put the time frame that they actually worked there. So you can see I would put the month and the year, and then also include when you might have finished that job, or if you're currently working there, you can use the word present. It's sufficient enough as well. Here you can see the bullet points, very clear, concise information. It gives you more information about what that person did, the duties that they had as an auto technician intern at the Palladium. So you can see here, very clean, a lot of information in here. It reads better than having everything in like a paragraph form. So a couple things to consider, and make sure you think about these things when you're putting your resume together. And I'll show you a sample at the very end, kind of run through a resume, kind of give you some feedback on that as well. Limit to 1 or 2 pages in length on one side of the paper. We don't want to have 4 or 5 pages for your resume. A lot of times when someone's looking at your resume, they may only look at the top third of your resume. So they may only scan 15 to 20 seconds. So that's where we want to capture their attention with that personal statement, your skills at the very top, something that will catch their eye or that they can glance at. And that's another reason why we use bullet points when we're using in our experience, because it's very quick and easy to glance at, and they can pull out keywords and terms that relate to the job description. Using bold and underline and italics to stress major points. Just try to use that with discretion. We don't want to see a lot of lines. It takes away from the reader and making sure your resume flows well. And also making sure you check for spelling and grammar. Just make sure that you don't misspell anything or have any grammar errors on your resume, because a lot of times that will pretty much disqualify you if you misspell something from being selected for that interview. Quick note about references. I would also have maybe 3 to 4 references readily available to you. A lot of times we've seen in the past where at the bottom of your resume, it will say references available upon request. I would probably not include that and have your references on a separate piece of paper to take with you to that interview. I know a lot of applications nowadays might ask you for your references within that electronic application process, but it's always a good practice that when you go into that interview, have 3 or 4 references available to you and make sure that you contact those references prior to going on that interview to let them know that you're applying for a position and that you would like to use them for a reference. A couple key things about references. I would try to avoid someone who is directly related to you, your friends, your family. Try to leave it to someone who can vouch for the work that you've done. Maybe a supervisor, another employee that you may have worked with that can vouch for that type of work ethic that you have. I think those are just important things to consider when you're putting your references together. Let's do a quick resume review and take a look at a quick sample. So as you can see here is a sample resume with a format that is very conducive to personnel to look at. And just remember, they're only going to spend 15 to 20 seconds on resumes, as they might get, 100, 200 different types of resumes to look at for one position. So we want to make sure that your resume stands out and that they can view the information very quickly and it's clear and concise once you submit the resume to them. So you can see at the very top, Carlos Perez, your name sticks out very well. Your city and state, it's not necessary to put your address anymore, a phone number where they can reach you, and a very professional email address. Try to avoid with your email addresses, including your date of birth or the year of birth. I see that a lot on resumes that I've reviewed in the past. This will give the information that we don't want to give the personnel as far as what year you were born. That way you're not disqualified from being included for that position. Also, you can see at the very top, there's that professional summary, a dedicated IT technician ready to provide support services to your organization's computer systems, including installation, configuration, maintenance, and troubleshooting of hardware and software products. Very clean, concise. It gives a lot of information in there for them to make sure that your personal statement fits that job description that we're kind of tailoring our resume to. Your skills and qualifications need to be at the top, so it's very clean for them to be able to determine quickly if it fits the needs of their company. Certified Microsoft Word, certified PowerPoint, you're team oriented, you have customer service skills. And another very important thing we talked about earlier is being bilingual, English, Spanish, English, French, etc. That way you stand out from other candidates within the organization or in the candidate pool. The professional experience, you can see here, shift manager, Taco Bell. On the right-hand side, they included the month and the year they're currently working there. They used the word present. And then some bullet points to highlight the work that they're doing in that particular experience or that location where they had that job. It's important that these are clean and concise, very easy to read, and they can glance at them fairly quickly to make sure that you're fitting the needs of the company and what they want in that particular job description. Also, your education at the bottom included the technical college when they received their certificate, and then also your diploma from the Strawberry Crest High School, which is what Carlos went. This would also give them information about what kind of background that you've had in education that you can bring to the table. I hope you enjoyed the resume presentation today. Thank you for your time and have a good day.